Hello, this is the ER channel, Empires and Revolution, and today I'm going to talk about the American Revolution, and in particular the date of the American Revolution, more specifically the Declaration of Independence. To most people, July the 4th, the date on which Americans celebrate their independence, seems entirely random. It just happens to be the date on which the Second Continental Congress decided to declare its independence. But is this really the case, or is there a larger significance behind that particular date? The Second Continental Congress is the most famous one. It was convened on May the 10th, 1775, and stayed in existence for about 6 years. The Declaration of Independence came 14 months into its sitting, so why did they choose that specific date of July the 4th, when they could have declared independence on almost any other date? I would like to suggest that the date may possibly have been chosen for its symbolic relevance. But what possible symbolic relevance does the date July the 4th have? Of course, now it is associated with American independence, but before American independence it clearly wasn't. So why did the Founding Fathers decide to declare their independence on this particular day? Before we answer that question, we should just remember who the Founding Fathers were. Most of them were Freemasons of one kind or another. A lot of them were Christians, but also a sizable but influential minority of them could probably be more accurately described as deists. To men like these, symbolism was very, very important. So it's not too much to assume that the date of the most important event in American history was chosen with some kind of symbolic relevance. In 1750, the British government decided to change the calendar from the Julian system to the Gregorian system. This resulted in dates being moved forward by 11 days, something that displaced a lot of festivals and anniversaries. Now, if you consider that festivals are generally held to have some kind of symbolic or magical effect, moving the date of the festival is regarded as decreasing its power. This is why, for example, the Russians insist on celebrating Christmas in early January. Therefore, in the case of Britain, many people decided to ignore the change in the calendar and continue celebrating the festival in the original date under the Julian calendar. Traditionally minded country folk thus continued to celebrate Midsummer on what they believed was Old Midsummer Eve, namely July the 4th. So the Second Continental Congress, when they decided to declare American independence on July the 4th, were essentially declaring American independence on the traditional and symbolic date of Old British Midsummer. You could see that as a coincidence, but that would be rather naive, because the Founding Fathers were farming gentry, Freemasons and Deists who would place a lot of importance in the symbolism of dates. Midsummer would be the time of year when vital spirits were at their strongest. In a sense, it's the opposite of Christmas. Christmas is the time of year when vital spirits are at their weakest, when the day is at its shortest, and after Christmas, light starts to come into the world. Midsummer is the opposite of this. Vital spirits are at their strongest, therefore most capable of rebellion, and then following Midsummer, darkness starts to increasingly come into the world. So, a heavily symbolic date on which to found the American Republic and later Empire.